Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Q4 FY21 earnings conference call of BLS International. The call will start in the next 3 minutes. We would request all participants to stay connected. Ladies and gentlemen, you are connected to the earnings conference call of BLS International. Please stay connected. The call will start shortly. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Q4 FY21 earnings conference call of BLS International. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Lokesh Parekh from Christensen Advisory. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Margaret. Good evening to all the participants on this call. Before we proceed to the call, let me remind you that the discussion may contain forward-looking statements that may involve known or unknown risks, uncertainties, and other factors. So it must be viewed in conjunction with our business risks that could cause future result performance or achievements to differ significantly from what is expressed or implied by such forward-looking statements. Please note that we have mailed the results and the presentation, and the same are available on company's website. In case you have not received, you can write to us and we will be happy to send you the same. To take us through the results and answer your questions today, we have the top management of BLS International, represented by Mr. Nikhil Gupta, Managing Director, Mr. Shikhar Aggarwal, Joint Managing Director, and Mr. Amit Sudhakar, Chief Financial Officer. We will start the call with a brief overview of the quarter gone past and then conduct Q&A session. With this said, I will now hand over the call to Mr. Shikhar Aggarwal. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all to our earnings conference call of Q4 and FY21. Hope you all are in good health and your family also. Let me now give you an update on the global travel situation. Due to outbreak last year, individuals all around the world socially distanced themselves. People, on the other hand, are now willing to travel after vaccination. According to a poll conducted by American Express, 69% of the Indians are planning to at least one international big travel in the near future. With all COVID-related safety precaution in place, we have resumed accepting visa applications for India, in Canada, China, Russia, Singapore, Malaysia, UAE, etc. For Lebanon government in India, Thailand and Nepal, for the Brazil government in Lebanon, and the new contract for the Brazil government in China. We recently, as you know, also won a contract for the Thailand embassy in India, so we have started resumed operations for that also. For the Vietnam embassy in India, for the Cyprus in Qatar, for Belarus in Singapore, Malaysia and Philippines, etc. and for Spain in 57 locations. We have also started operations for the Estonian e-residency project in Brazil, Thailand, Singapore and South Africa, and for the UAE attestation for the UAE government in Philippines. Indian travelers are also not behind their global counterparts. In fact, just before the second wave hit the country, Indians were seen engaging in and in some cases overpaying for revenge travel. Furthermore, recent advancement of Indian immunization effort has reawakened individuals' travel aspirations. On the financial performance of the company, despite the global challenging environment, we have managed to post healthy performance during the quarter and during the financial year 2021. Our total operating revenue during the quarter stood at 144.5 crores. Our EBITDA stood at 10.1 crores, up 42% year-on-year, and our PAT 23 crores, up around 170% year-on-year. The revenues during the quarter were mainly contributed by consular and G2C services, especially Punjab. If we look at our citizen service expertise, Punjab contract has started functioning better than pre-COVID levels, where we have processed almost 1.5 million applications during the quarter. The passport and consular services also picked up momentum and is now close to pre-COVID level. Our banking correspondent service being carried on the subsidiary Starfin continue to perform well. On the profitability front, we have streamlined our expenses in line with the business operation, and also the share of the premium value-added services has improved significantly in the last few quarters. We have noticed a trend where travelers are willing to pay a premium to avoid interaction physically. They prefer mobile biometric services wherein we come to their houses to pick up their application, and different services like premium lounge, priority services, etc. All these services definitely add to our bottom line and top line. So we expect an increase in margins with the resumption of visa services and countries opening up the borders. On the new businesses front, in Q4 21, we have bagged contract from the Embassy of Brazil to operate 15 centers in China and Embassy of Portugal to operate more than 13 centers in Russia. We have also signed a contract with the UP government to operate more than 10,000 centers providing different citizen services. We also won a contract with the Thailand government in India to issue visas for travelers going to Thailand. Earlier during the year, we also inked a contract with the government of Egypt for issuing movement certificate. We were also accredited by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, by the government of Canada to provide biometric services, and the Estonian government e-residency contract that we have started in 5 countries. You would be glad to know we have also started operations in countries, resumed operations for countries like Belarus, in Philippines, Malaysia, and Singapore, and Morocco visa in India, Vietnam, and Turkey visa processing. Our balance sheet continues to remain strong with zero debt and cash and bank balance to the tune of 277 crore. As a prominent industry player, we at BLS are committed to invest in most innovative and advanced technology from time to time. We are always on the lookout for highly rewarding M&A opportunities in tech-enabled service domain. Thank you. This is all from my side. I now hand over the call to Amit Sudhakar, our CFO, for updates on financial performance. Over to you, Amit.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me take you through the financial performance for the quarter and financial year 2021. We reported operating revenue of 145 crores, a marginal decline of 4.4% YOY, mainly due to decline in revenue from visa business. Our EBITDA for the quarter stood at 10 crores compared to EBITDA of 7 crores in corresponding quarter last year. The improvement was mainly due to realignment of our costs in line with our revenues. The company generated a net profit of 23 crores in Q4 FY21 as compared to 8.3 crores in corresponding quarter last year, and PAT margin stood at 15% in Q4 FY21. During the quarter, company received a tax credit of 6.5 crores from UK government, and there was a reversal of tax provision of the earlier quarters during Q4 FY21. For the full year FY 2021, company generated a revenue of 478 crores compared to revenue of 786 crores in the previous financial year. The decline in revenue was mainly due to decline in visa processing services business. However, we managed to limit the decline in business with support of our consular services, G2C services, and bank correspondent services. During the year, company generated other income of 18.6 crores, including grants of about 8 crores from different client governments, interest income of around 6 crore, and the balance on account of forex gain and other miscellaneous income. Cash balance of the company has increased by 38 crores to 277 crore, and net worth of the company has improved by 31 crore to 460 crore during FY 2021. We continue to remain a zero-debt company. The board has approved a final dividend of 25%. With this, the total dividend for FY 21 stood at 50%. This is all from my side. I would request the moderator to open the call for Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Anyone who would like to ask a question, you may press star and 1 at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Deepak Mehta, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi everyone. So thank you for taking my question, and I hope everyone is doing well at the company. So my question is around the new tie-up with Amazon. So what kind of revenue we can expect from this partnership, and what will be the revenue stream? Is it one-time revenue, once in a year, or it is based on the consignment? Or so if you can throw some color on this.
Hello, hi, this is Shikhar Agarwal. I'm the Joint Managing Director. So see, as you know, we have started working with various governments in India, and like that we won a contract with the UP government where we opened 10,000 centers for providing different government services like birth certificate, death certificate. These are all exclusive centers where people will have to come to these centers. So, we always keep on finding additional sources of revenue, and e-commerce is definitely the future. So definitely we are talking, and we have, we are working with some e-commerce companies like Amazon. In the future, there are more companies in the pipeline wherein we will be providing assisted e-commerce services through our centers, to the applicants who wish to come at center and avail these services. So revenue, as in when the transactions start to happen from this, then we can give you a more, understanding about that.
Okay, so this is so when this service is going to live with our company, with Amazon? Commencement date, is there any commencement date when we are going to start the services to Amazon?
There is no date actually because of lockdown. Things have become slow. Now we have resumed. We are slowly starting all our centers in UP. So I think we will be commencement date. We will be letting you know shortly.
Okay, sir. And what kind of service we will be providing to? This will be storing their goods, or what kind of services it will be, or
So these will be any products that people choose to buy from any of these e-commerce websites like mobile phones, etc.
Okay. So we will be acting as a local store type, right?
Correct.
So I thought we will be also doing some KYC for their credit card or Amazon Pay. So that was my
Not right now.
Okay. Thank you so much. I will get in this.
Thank you. Anyone who would like to ask a question, you may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Harsh Patel from Alpha Alternative. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity. I just wanted to know what does it take to win a new contract in the visa processing business? Is it lower pricing that you charge, or your relationship with the government? And what is your share in the visa processing business? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So as you know, BLS International is one of the largest visa outsourcing consular service provider. We are now the preferred government to citizen service provider across the world. We are working with 46 client governments, We are in 66 countries. We have more than 12,000 centers and have 15,000 employees. Till date, we have processed more than 52 million applications. As you know, last year itself, we have won 7 new contracts with different governments. Some remarkable contracts being Brazil government in China, Portugal government in Russia, and Estonian government. So, all these contracts take a long time to, get qualified for. We worked for 15 years, as we have been mentioning, and now results have started to come in. Last year we won 7 contracts. Now this year also we expect, to win few more contracts. Tenders are going to come in the next 2-3 years. We have changed our business development strategy. We have employed a lot of people. It depends on country to country. Some countries work on, technical and financial mix. So there are certain marks that you get for technical and certain for prizes. So definitely we have become a technically strong company as we have grown as a company, and definitely we are paying more importance on the technicality of the proposal and getting good margins. So, it is a healthy competition between technical and financial.
Okay. So what would be the majority of, the competition is very intense, if I'm not wrong. So if you want to win a country, for example, say Australia, so is it based on these 2 factors only or anything else? Or mainly, what would be the biggest factor that you can tell me?
See, biggest factor would be the solution. How responsive are you to the government request. We provide a solution wherein our platform is latest, best in technology. It is latest in the system. We provide access to the government to understand, see what is actually happening in the centers. It's a tech-enabled system. So we are providing a technologically advanced software. So I think with the changes in systems and this is what governments are looking for, and that is the reason that we are also, as we are working for the Portugal government in Russia at 35 euros. So we are actually charging good amount of charges from different governments. As we grow, our focus is to increase our charges.
Okay. And what will be your market share in the visa processing business?
See, now, obviously, because of COVID, the entire market has changed, and we do not know exactly how many numbers happened. Pre-COVID, the market, we were getting around 10 to 12% of the, applications across the world. Now, with the new contracts, we are hoping, and with the new revenge tourism in place, particularly for our clients, we are hoping that we might get, increase our market share with the existing contracts to 15%, in the next 1 year. And definitely in the next 2 years, we are very bullish on getting new contracts that will definitely lead to an increase in share.
Okay. So what would be the top player market share would be in this space?
So see, the market right now, as we had spoke, in the last 2-3 years, market was outsourced when we started only, market till 2 years back was only outsourced 30%. Numbers now, maybe a little bit must have improved. We do not know the exact numbers of the top player, but definitely top player will be having much more market share than us.
Any approximate number? 30%?
Maybe 30-40%.
Okay. My next question is on the Uttar Pradesh contract. So is it similar to the Punjab contract, and the size of the contract, can you tell me, and the revenue guidance that you can give?
Yes, the contract is similar to the Punjab government contract in terms that, we are providing similar kind of services, birth certificate, death certificate, all citizen services. The change is that, in this contract, the 10,000 centers that we've opened are not given to us by the government. In Punjab contract, it was an asset-light model wherein everything was provided by the government, be it the assets, be it the offices. In this contract, nothing has been provided by the
Hello.
होय. काय विशेष फोन? पाऊस दिवस.
हॅलो.
तू काय विशेष काय फोन केलास?
हॅलो.
म्हणजे तुला अंजूचा नवरा गेलेला माहिती? हो. सकाळी कळलं आज मला. यांच्या मामे बहिणीचा फोन आला होता. म्हणजे माधव आहे ना, माधव देशमुख. हो. निलिमा. तिच्या नंडेचा. काय नातं आहे का? हो. नातं म्हणजे अंजू तिची निलिमाची भाऊजाई लागते, राजूची बायको. राजू हा निलिमाचा भाऊ लागतो. असं नातं आहे. हा, सख्खी भावंड. हो का? ती म्हणाली ऍडमिट होता 2-4 दिवस, काहीतरी दम लागत होता वगैरे. म्हटलं करोना होता का, तर ते म्हणाले नाही, करोना नव्हता. असं हार्ट अटॅक आला शेवटी. म्हणजे किती तो बारीक झाला, त्याला 4 पावलं सुद्धा चालवत नव्हतं, असं नलू म्हणाले.
माहिती नव्हतं.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stay connected while we wait for the management to get connected to the call. Ladies and gentlemen, request you to please hold the line while we wait for the management to join the call. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for patiently waiting. We have the line for the management back in the conference. Over to you, sir.
Yes. So as we spoke about the UP contract, I hope it clarifies our stand on that.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, you may press star and 1 to ask a question at this time. The next question is from the line of Deepak Mehta, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the follow-up. So my question is around, sir, so we provide service to, our customers. So do we track any customer satisfaction level or NPS, if you can throw some light, how we are improving, providing good quality of services, as you have mentioned that we are doing agile stuff and all this.
Thank you. I think this is definitely a very important and very good question. Thank you for that. Definitely, we being a customer service oriented company, we have two customers, government and the citizens. Definitely both of them are very important to us. Customers, as you know, that we process 52 million applications till date. So, we are dealing with a lot of customers on a daily basis, wherein running a global operations, taking track of customer satisfaction, the SLA is very important. So what we have done is we have set up a system in place where we have quality managers, we have data quality team at different levels. There is an escalation matrix, there are customer feedback mechanism. We are deploying software wherein people come to our centers after submitting their application, they are prompted to give a survey. So all that is happening on a regular constant basis, wherein reports are also submitted to the government, and we also do mystery audits and surprise audits. At the same time, same things are done by the governments also. So I think these all things are very necessary for sustainability of the company and providing good service in the long term.
Okay, sir, thank you. And my next question is around, so the service we provide is very generic and, there is lot of competition. So what is our niche or USP, if you can define, and what is the focus of the management going forward, let's say in long term, 3 to 5 years, how we want to differentiate from our competitors?
So see, first of all, the service that we provide is not generic. It is, it took us 15 years, as we told, to qualify for these tenders. Then right now in the world, only 3 to 4 companies are qualified to even bid for these tenders, and we are one of the only Indian company, and we are the only company which is also qualified from India for these tenders. So definitely, service that we're performing is very specific. Wherein we are dealing with customer data. We have to follow GDPR compliance laws. You have to show the data in particular places. You have to have software data purging policies. The technology that you use definitely has to have that strength to handle increased load or decreased load. You have to give access to the government, at the same time making sure your data is secure. So I think these are some of the strengths that we have shown over the years to different governments that we are working with. When you give the biometrics, the error rate is, according to the industry standard, the error rate is drastically lower. All these things lead to definitely a good image of the company in mind of decision makers, while they are awarding tenders. And in the future, we feel more and more governments, as they see the progress of the company, are actually giving us more tenders. As you must have seen the last year, as we spoke, we won a lot of tenders, and a couple of them were from the competition. Some of the countries of outsourcing for the first time, and some of the countries gave tenders from the competition. So this is the reason that we are winning.
Okay, thank you, sir. And going forward, as we expect the worst is, behind us, so what kind of revenue growth we can see in this fiscal year or next 2 to 3 fiscal years? What will be your guidance? And we have good, cash balance and operating cash flow. So is there any new services you want to, expand, or what will be the future plan with cash we will be generating existing cash which we have in balance sheet?
Yes. So see, we are very excited for the company. Last 1 year has been tough on the industry and on the company also. Still, we managed to, reduce, realign our expenses, and maintain and increase our revenue in the existing contracts, and also, just a second. Yeah. So I think that is the reason, that last year itself we have managed to get good numbers. This year, we are very excited with travel opening up. Our offices across different parts of the world have started to open up. India is definitely a little slow right now in terms of travel, but we foresee, to achieve, at least to target to achieve 2019, level of numbers this year, with the increase in revenue from the existing contracts and realignment of our expenses. So definitely, I think this year this is what we target to achieve.
The opportunity you are looking for to with the cash we hold in balance sheet and the cash flow we will be generating in future.
Yes. So regarding the cash on the books, right? That is the question. So Amit, can you answer?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So as I said, our cash has been growing over the years, and we are seriously looking at organic as well as inorganic growth. And hopefully this year we will be able to announce if we can close a couple of inorganic growth targets as well as expansion. As Shikhar talked about new contracts, we are looking at some big contracts where we will require some additional cash requirement will be there to scale up operations if those big contracts come in. So we are very positive in the current year to come up with some utilization of the cash which is on the books.
Okay, sir. And the new contracts we will be bidding and we are winning from our competitors. So the margin we can expect the same what we have in FY19, right? Sir?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. I wish best of luck to entire team and stay safe all of you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you a lot.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of VP Rajesh from Banyan Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, Shikhar, how are you?
Hi, Rajesh. I'm good. I hope you are fine. Yes, I can.
Yeah, hi. Yeah. So, Shikhar, first question is that, in the Q4 revenues, what was the percentage from the visa and consular services versus the Punjab and UP contract and the staffing business we have? So if you can just share the split of the revenue across those three verticals.
Yes, so Amit, can you please share it?
Yeah. Hi, Rajesh. See, the ratio has been in the range of 15 to 17% from other businesses, and consular services still remains to be the biggest one.
Okay. And Shikhar, you were talking about that our offices are opening abroad. So assuming that 100% mean all the operations are back to normal, where are we on that scale? Are we at 50% or 70%? If you can just give some color around that.
Okay. So Rajesh, see, as you know, there is a situation in India going on. Definitely, offices in India have not resumed back to normal. But there are some countries that are still probably closed down. But if you talk about the major countries, be it Russia or Africa, government has permitted us to start opening some of the centers, and wherever we have opened the centers, we are seeing demand is far exceeding the capacity of the center. So definitely, people have started to come into the centers. They are asking for appointments, but currently government is also, according to the policies, they are right now giving limited number of slots and visas. So whatever slots and availability is there, it is full. So we see, right now, if you talk about percentage number, it's very difficult to give any exact percentage what could be open, but definitely I would say more than 50%. Amit, would you say?
Yeah.
More than 50% has been started to open. Numbers have started to come in. This month itself, things started to open up. So I think in the within the next 3-4 months, we feel as a company, with different governments also opening up their borders, with vaccination drive going on, with pent-up demand and the revenge travel, that is expected. We expect numbers to definitely far outgrow.
Right. Okay. One of the guidance you talked about going back to fiscal year 19. So what could be the margin there? That's should it be higher than fiscal year 19 margin, or it will be at the same margin?
Yeah. So basically, I think Rajesh, definitely, see, two reasons. I feel the margin will be definitely higher than 19 levels. There are two reasons for it. First is that we have definitely realigned our costs, and some costs will be realigned for the long term. Obviously, we have to come back to the cost process what we have been doing, and definitely a lot of services that we got a chance to introduce in this lockdown, and we have tested those services in our various different contracts. So those are also giving us a good margin, and so definitely some value-added services will definitely increase the margins and realignment of expenses. There are two things that will lead to increase in margin. And also service fee hike. In some of the contracts, we have managed to get a service fee hike with the government. We are in negotiation on the other contracts. So I think that will also lead to increase in margin for us.
Right. That's wonderful. So do you think, what will be the margin guidance for this year then?
I think it will be very difficult to give an exact number, but it depends on opening up exactly. But Amit, I don't know. It will be definitely higher than what we did 2019.
I think, Rajesh, we'll get a much better picture by Q2 when these places start and the numbers start coming in. We have opened the offices, and now numbers are trickling in. Once that goes up, we will have a better picture on how things are getting in place.
Understood. And you were mentioning, Amit, about one time.
Rajesh, can you please repeat?
Can't hear you.
You were talking about a write back of about 6 crore or 6.5 crores. So if you can just elaborate that, because I missed the detail. What was it about?
On the 6.5 crores?
Yes. Yeah.
From the you have mentioned.
That is basically, if you see in our quarterly result this time, there is a credit of tax after PBT about 7 crores. So that basically major fund is the 6.5 crore, which has been funded by UK government as a refund of the tax, which we had losses on which there was a deferred tax, which they have paid it out as an incentive during COVID. So whatever the losses we had, and there was a tax asset which we have created, we got that money in.
I see. Okay.
So therefore, it's below the line.
Another question. Yeah. One more question. The other income was quite high year-over-year, 8.2 crores. So any one-time thing in there as well?
Yeah, I shared that. If you see the overall for the year, there's 18.6 crore is the other income. In that, about 8 crore is the grants from different countries we got during this COVID time. They were as a subsidy for salaries for admin as well as for rentals, which we have added in the other income.
Understood. Okay. I'll have one or two more questions, but I'll get back in the queue. Thanks.
Sure, sir. Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Harsh Patel from Alpha Alternatives. Please go ahead.
Hi again. Sorry, Shikhar, I lost you in between. Can you tell me again, can you repeat the Uttar Pradesh question that I asked you? I was asking about the model. Is it similar to Punjab contract and the investment you have done in the Uttar Pradesh contract? And the revenue guidance, of course.
Welcome back, Harsh. Yes. So basically, Harsh, as I told you, in UP, the model is that in Punjab, wherein all the offices and all the capex investment is done by the government, and we have our people, trained people using our software providing the services. In UP, the model is that everything is done by BLS. By BLS saying that we have not incurred any investment other than the software. We have tied up with people called village level entrepreneurs. So we have 10,000 people across the state of UP who have opened offices on our behalf. They have invested in the computers and the machinery, and they are using our software, which is talking to the government system to provide these services. So that is how the model in UP is working.
Okay. So any revenue guidance that you can give? Because Punjab was, I guess, 6 crore every month that you used to make, right?
Correct. So basically, see, we only completed the rollout recently because 10,000 is a big number of centers that you have to roll out across the state. So I think right now, because of COVID, things slowed down. We had won the contract during that period. So I do not have the exact numbers because there was no tendered value mentioned in the contract, So that is why, probably in next quarter when we have a more, understanding of the numbers that we get, we can give you. But one thing we can tell you is that we have done almost negligible investment in this contract in terms of other than the software, and the OPEX cost that we are incurring in terms of the salary of the, head office people.
Okay, got it. And can you give me the capex guidance for FY22 and 23 if you have budgeted any?
So, normally our normal OPEX for operation, the capex is in the range of 5 to 7 crores. Unless until a new big project comes in, then there is additional capex for what the running. Normal is the 7 crores or so a year.
But this year, as because of COVID, we have operations have been resumed. Definitely we have changed some offices, realigned some expenses. So definitely there could be some capex in terms of some additional offices or change in offices locations that we have portrayed. And capex in terms of new contracts that we win, for that there could be some capex.
What would be the ballpark figure for FY22?
The capex ballpark figure?
Yeah.
So, Amit, during the last year?
No, he's saying
FY22.
No, for FY22.
Again, we are working on that 7 to 10 crore as a normal capex, but anything we do extra or we get a new project, those will be as per the project requirement.
Got it.
So we don't know how much the project size and the initial requirement will be.
Got it. And on the Spain contract, when does it get expire and what will be the renewal process? What are you hearing from the Spanish government?
Yes. So as we told you that now we have been in discussion with the Spanish government as like we are with other governments. The contract is already till next year, end or something. So, but all the governments are giving extension for the contracts. Same way we are in talks with all the governments. So we are definitely hopeful on getting extension on these contracts also.
So because of COVID, you'll get a year extension. That is what you're saying.
Definitely, all the governments are giving extensions.
Okay. And just wanted to ask you on the tax guidance because the tax rate is comparatively low to the other companies that I see. So what would be the guidance on the taxation side for FY22?
So we are working on around 15% other tax liability, but it depends on the mix of profits in which country we are getting it from. Like India and overall it has been around 15%.
Okay. And just one last question is, so you said you have, no, just wanted to ask you about the cash balance that you have. You said 277 crores, right? So where is this cash you have invested? This is in mutual funds or in liquid funds that you can tell me?
So all this investment is fixed deposits with banks only. We are not invested anywhere else. No bonds or nothing else except fixed deposit with banks.
Thank you. I would request Mr. Patel to rejoin the queue for follow-up questions. The next question is from the line of Mithun Aswath from Kiva Advisors. Please go ahead. I'm sorry, Mithun, we cannot hear you very clearly.
Can you hear me now?
This is better. Thank you.
Yeah, just a question on, in terms of the cash balance, does the cash lie in the Indian entity or in the international entity? Since you have such a large cash balance, is there any proposal to, increase your dividend payout in the coming years? Just wanted your thoughts on that. And what is the utilization of that cash?
So as we explained earlier, that this cash balance, majority of them everything is in fixed deposits, with the intent that we are aggressively looking at seriously into new acquisitions. And when you utilize this funds for acquisitions as and when we get a deal, we close some deals. Dividend policy has been there, which has been approved by the board. And as per that, we are working on a 15% dividend of what the profit we generate each year. So if you see in the current year, we have a profit of around 50 crores, and 7.5 is what we could do, what we have done in the current year. Accordingly, we have shared the dividend. We can go back to the board and work out on improvement on the dividend payouts. That will be subject to the board approvals. But the intent is to look at aggressively new contract, big contracts, which if required, we can utilize the funds for that, as well as for inorganic growth. So the whole objective is that at the moment for utilizing these funds.
Yeah, just one more question. In terms of geography, which geography would be generating the most amount of revenue in terms of potential? Since obviously, markets like South America and India are still grappling under COVID, and maybe only the US and some European markets will open up. So if you could just throw some light on that, that would be useful.
Correct. So see, definitely, what we have been seeing is there has been increased revenue from countries in GCC, from countries in CIS countries and North America region also. So those are the countries right now where we are seeing increase in revenue. Asia has not started to come in that level.
And just wanted to understand, what are the entry barriers for this business? Because you have one other unlisted, quite a large competitor. What is normally the your right to win in this space? Is it that you bid lower, or you have certain experience? So just wanted to understand how this works, and normally what is the tenor of each of your projects?
Correct. So see, as I told also before in a previous question, that we are working for new governments. For example, the Portugal government in Russia at 35 years was with our competition at probably a lower rate. So we are not here, just to compete on price. We are focusing as we grow as a company on quality of the tenders and our response on technology. So that are the reasons that are, leading to tenders being awarded to us. Definitely our service quality and the requirements of the government and the response to implementing those requirements. I think those are the factors, that is leading. For a lot of years, this industry was dominated by, some players. So now, seeing us as a rising company, definitely governments have seen our delivery over the last 6-7 years with different client governments, and they are giving us work. We are now actually qualified for the tenders, bidding for them, actually giving results, winning the tenders, and next few years you will see BLS getting more and more market share.
Great. All the best. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ankur Jain, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hi. So I'm coming to the same question on cash. What I'm trying to understand here is, as you are saying, you are keeping this cash for utilizing in future for some acquisition. Do we have any timeline for this? Because a similar response we got in the previous earlier calls also. So I think when we have huge cash, 250 CR cash is there, and every year we are generating around 50 CR, then there should be some time. We should keep the cash only in time-bound manner. Otherwise, the cost of equity is so high. We should return to the shareholder. So, any view on that?
Yeah, Amit. So see, yes, last time we talked about this, and unfortunately, because of COVID, couple of deals we were working on got delayed or they didn't materialize. But now things are looking much better, and hopefully in the next couple of quarters you will hear some positive news if things goes through. So yeah, okay. But yeah, if we take your point, if we don't foresee in the next couple of quarters, we may go back to the board and take a call of higher disbursement, subject to board. And end of the day, the board needs to decide that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
10 is the quantity, for example. 70 is the total cost that we've taken here. Even now, finding it difficult to follow. And so you agree, but ये से हम लोग ये कर देना उसके.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Harit Singh, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So I just wanted to ask, in terms of inorganic space, which exactly area would we be looking at for utilizing cash?
So see, we are definitely looking at tech-enabled businesses. Right now as we grow, our company is providing services to different governments. So we are looking at companies maybe in the similar line of business across the world, and also we are looking at different companies providing tech-enabled services. Collecting money from the citizens. The model is the same we want to work on, but we are looking at companies having technology.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Swarup Dev, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Hi, Shikhar. Yeah, actually, I have a question around the management, which is like I see there are two managing directors, like one is Nikhil and another is you. You are the joint managing director, but I just wanted to understand the distribution of responsibilities, because mostly I am seeing that you are representing all the meetings and the other conference that I saw in YouTube videos and everything. So just wanted to have a background or some more details on that.
So see, definitely I am representing the company, because between us we decided that I will probably be the spokesperson and he will do more of the work. So it is not like that. But Nikhil is mostly taking care of the domestic business. He has his strength in aligning, and we had some big contracts with the Punjab government currently also, and the UP contract, and we are now in the talks of heading different contracts. And with me, I have my whole team. My chief operating officer, my chief business development officers. Those are the people who are actually running around, and they have their entire strength on the ground. So it is not like we have only two people. Probably we are the spokespersons of the company, but our entire team is there on the ground actually delivering the work.
You want to know anything about Punjab? Ask me, okay?
Sorry?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I also want to hear more from you, maybe in some other other representation. I just wanted to see you talk. Okay. That's great. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the clarification.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of VP Rajesh from Banyan Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi. So Nitin, I'll go ahead and ask you a question about Punjab. there is a still delay on getting our funds back. So any color on the timeline and what the issues are?
Yeah, good thing you asked the question, because coincidentally I happen to be sitting in Chandigarh, and the whole purpose is that I'm meeting the top officials in the government of Punjab, and I must say that the government is very keen on settlement of our outstandings, and they just want, like it happens typically in government, they want to reconcile everything to the last rupee before they pay out the money. They don't want to get into any audit and other queries. So all those things are going on, but we've reached almost a finality, and I expect to have some good news for everybody in the next quarter.
Okay, so the expectation is that by September we have to have the money back with us.
That is correct.
Okay. And thank you. Much appreciated. And Amit, you were saying that some of the cash may be utilized for large contracts that you are getting. So I didn't understand that part, because I thought our business will require more OPEX. And for OPEX, you are anyway a very profitable business. So there is a difference in my understanding. So can you clarify, please?
So, Rajesh, normally what happens in these contracts, once we need to put the infrastructure in place, get people on board, and the transactions take sometimes 3 to 6 months to start getting that break-even. So you need that working capital, as you said, plus the initial investment in the infrastructure, that can be in the office space, the IT infrastructure, getting people on board, and then the numbers start coming in, and they get into that momentum of the volumes that we are looking at. So normally these contracts take 6 to 9 months to break even. So I am talking about that money requirement during that period. It may be in the form of capex, it may be in the form of working capital also.
Also, Rajesh, we are developing our own software as we speak. As I told you that we are more and more focusing in getting technology as the backbone of the company. We have been deploying, and more as we grow as a company, the biometric technology. For some of the technologies we had some partners. We are trying to own most of the technology that we have. Some unique technologies for the government. So I think definitely we are also looking at investments in that.
Yeah, some IT.
So for software, are you capitalizing that expenditure, or are you flowing it through the P&L?
No, we capitalize and depreciate over the life of that software which we have developed.
I see. So what is the kind of capex you are doing in this software development?
So with the new, probably within this year and next year, I think we should be not doing a very aggressive right now to start with, but probably I'm not too sure because we are still creating the budget for that. I cannot give you an exact number. It should not be a very, very high figure, right now that we are focusing on. But I think when we make a budget for it, we can give an exact figure once those get crystallized. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Because Amit, I'll tell you where I'm coming from, because given your base business being so profitable with negative working capital, you're a negative working capital business. So even if you win a large contract, or even if you win 2-3 large contracts, I'm not sure that I can't understand why you would need money for working capital, because your other contracts are generating so much of cash. So that's why I was just trying to understand why would you need cash for that. Anyhow, we can take it offline.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. And the second question or a suggestion is that you guys may want to think about doing a buyback, because if you, let's say, I just do a very simple math that you are 800 crore top line this year and you make 12% margin, you're sort of 100 crore EBITDA, and you are trading, I think, much cheaply, almost 10 times, right? So for the kind of business that you are, the valuation could be much higher. So I would request you that if you don't have any acquisition idea, which I know you guys are looking at very carefully, but if it is not there in, let's say, a couple of quarters, then perhaps you should think about a buyback. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks for your suggestion. and certainly we'll take it up to the board for this.
Thank you. As there are no further questions from the participants, I now hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
Thank you everyone for making this call today. We are satisfied with the performance of our company during the year, considering the global pandemic situation. I have full confidence in our capabilities and our business model, and we see a very bright future for BLS International. During the year, we have streamlined our process, and as travel restrictions are being lifted, we expect significant improvement in the top line and bottom line. With this note, I thank you again for showing faith in BLS International in difficult times. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of BLS International, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.